The cabin is lively and warm. Laughter echoes as a younger Emily, mid-20s, sits around the fireplace with her family. Her mother, Margaret, mid-50s, gentle and kind, hands her a mug of hot cocoa. Margaret. To Emily, smiling. This place will always be our little haven. Lakeside Cabin Day. Emily sets her suitcase down and walks over to the fireplace. She gently touches the mantel, where an old family photo sits. The photo shows her, her mother, and her younger brother, James, early 20s, adventurous. Emily smiles faintly, her eyes misting with tears. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps on the porch pulls her out of her reverie. She turns to see James, now in his late 20s, rugged but with a familiar warmth, standing in the doorway. James. Grinning. You didn't think you'd come back here alone, did you? Emily rushes to him, embracing her brother tightly. Lakeside Cabin Night. The siblings sit on the porch, looking out over the moonlit lake. A fire crackles in a small pit nearby. They sip on hot cocoa, the steam curling into the crisp night air. Emily. Softly. I wasn't sure I could face this place again. James. Understanding. It's not easy. But maybe it's what we need to finally heal. Emily nods, her gaze fixed on the lake. The memories, both joyful and painful, seem to blend into the serene landscape. Emily. Smiling. Let's make some new memories then. James. Grinning. You know, there's that old rowboat we used to race in. Still here, still seaworthy. They share a laugh, the tension easing. The cabin, once a symbol of loss, begins to feel like a place of hope and renewal. Lake Day. Emily and James row the boat out onto the lake, their laughter echoing across the water. The past may linger, but the future now holds promise. The boat glides smoothly across the lake, the water shimmering under the mid-morning sun. Emily trails her hand in the cool water, feeling the peace of the moment. Emily. Playfully. Remember how you used to cheat during our races? You'd start paddling before the countdown was over. James. Grinning. Hey, it's called strategy. They both laugh, the sound carrying across the open water. The laughter fades, and a comfortable silence settles between them. Emily looks around, taking in the beauty of the lake. Emily. Softly. Mom would have loved to see us here again. James. Nods. Yeah, she would. She always said this place had a magic that could heal anything. Emily smiles, the weight on her heart lifting slightly. She turns her attention back to the shore, where the cabin sits peacefully, a symbol of both their past and their future. Later, Emily and James sit by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow. They sift through old photo albums, reminiscing about their childhood adventures. James. Pointing to a photo. Remember this? The time we tried to camp out in the backyard but ended up running inside because of the raccoon? Emily. Laughing. How could I forget? You swore it was a bear. They share another laugh, the memories bringing them closer. Emily closes the album and leans back, a contented smile on her face. Emily. Sincerely. I'm glad we came back. It feels right. James. Smiling. Me too. Maybe it's time we make this place part of our lives again, not just a memory. Emily nods, the idea settling comfortably in her mind. The cabin, once a place of sadness, now feels like a place of new beginnings. The next day, Emily stands on the porch, watching the sunrise. The sky is painted in hues of pink and orange, the lake reflecting the vibrant colors. James joins her, handing her a cup of coffee. James. Quietly. Here's to new beginnings. Emily clinks her cup with his, a hopeful smile on her face. Emily. Here's to new beginnings. As the sun rises higher, bathing the cabin in golden light, Emily and James look out over the lake, ready to embrace whatever comes next. The cabin, their family's haven, is now a place of hope, healing, and love once again. Emily's fingers trace the outline of Jack's face in the photo, her eyes glistening with nostalgia. She exhales deeply, placing the picture gently back on the mantel. The cabin feels both familiar and foreign, a relic of a life she had tucked away. Emily, softly, feels like a lifetime ago. A sudden creak at the door startles her. She turns to see Jack standing there, slightly older but still with that same warm smile. He holds a basket of firewood. Jack, smiling, "You made it." Emily nods, "I wasn't sure if I should." Jack walks in, setting the wood by the fireplace. His eyes meet hers, a mixture of surprise and something else, relief. "Jack, I'm glad you did." They stand in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words filling the room. Emily walks to the window, looking out at the lake, its surface shimmering under the afternoon sun. "Emily, this place, it hasn't changed a bit." "Jack, not much has. It's been waiting." Emily turns back to face him, her expression softening. "Emily, I wasn't sure if you'd still be here." Jack shrugs, a touch of humor in his voice. "Jack, where else would I go? This is home." "Emily, home." Her voice trails off as she takes in the cabin once more, memories rushing back. Jack steps closer, his expression turning serious. "Jack, I never stopped hoping you'd come back." Emily's eyes well up, and she quickly wipes away a tear. "Emily, I didn't know if I could." "If we could." Jack reaches out, taking her hand gently. "Jack, we can figure it out. Together." The warmth of his touch seems to melt away years of distance. Emily nods, a tentative smile breaking through. "Emily, maybe we can." They stand together, the past behind them and the promise of a new chapter ahead. The lake reflects the golden hues of the setting sun, as if embracing their reunion. Lakeside cabin kitchen night. The cabin is alive with the crackle of the fireplace. Emily and Jack sit at the small wooden table, a simple dinner between them. The atmosphere is warm, a gentle hum of rekindled connection. Jack, chewing thoughtfully, "Remember the time we tried to cook here for the first time?" Emily laughs, her eyes lighting up. "Emily, how could I forget? We nearly burned the place down." Jack, chuckling, "And we ended up eating cereal by the fire instead." They share a quiet laugh, the sound of it filling the cabin. Emily's smile fades slightly as she toys with her fork. "Emily, Jack, I need to ask, why did you stay? After everything?" Jack sets down his fork, leaning back in his chair. His gaze is steady, sincere. "Jack, I stayed because because we always felt unfinished. Like there was more to our story." Emily looks down, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "Emily, I left because I was scared. Scared of what I felt, of how much I cared. It was overwhelming." Jack reaches across the table, his hand covering hers. "Jack, I get it. But maybe we don't have to be scared anymore." Emily's eyes meet his, a glimmer of hope flickering within them. "Emily, maybe it's time to finish what we started." Jack squeezes her hand, a smile spreading across his face. "Jack, I'd like that." The bonfire crackles, mirroring the one from their past. Emily and Jack sit side by side, the stars above them reflecting in the lake. Jack hands Emily a marshmallow on a stick, and she smiles, holding it over the fire. "Emily, just like old times." "Jack, only better." They sit in comfortable silence, the fire casting a warm glow over them. Emily leans her head on Jack's shoulder, her heart feeling lighter than it has in years. "Emily, Jack, what if we made this our place again? For good?" Jack wraps his arm around her, pulling her closer. "Jack, I was hoping you'd say that." The flames dance, their crackling filling the night as Emily and Jack sit together, a new chapter unfolding under the stars. Emily steps aside to let Jack in, both of them unsure of what to say. The room is filled with the soft, golden glow of the afternoon sun filtering through the windows, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. "Emily. It's been a while." "Jack. Yeah, it has. How have you been?" Emily closes the door and leans against it, her arms crossed protectively across her chest. Emily. I've been okay. Just needed some time away from everything, I guess. Jack nods, his gaze wandering around the room, landing on the familiar objects that once held so much meaning. Jack. I understand. This place has always been a kind of refuge. Emily. Exactly. I thought being here might help clear my head. Jack walks over to the fireplace, running his fingers along the mantel, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips as he picks up a small wooden carving. Jack. Remember this? We made it the summer after college. Emily steps closer, a smile forming despite herself. Emily. You carved it, and I painted it. It was supposed to be a bird, but it ended up looking like a Jack. A very confused owl. They both laugh softly, the tension easing slightly. Emily. So, what brings you back here, Jack? Jack. I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything that happened. I guess I wanted to see if this place still felt like home. Emily. Does it? Jack turns to face her, his expression softening. Jack. In a way, yes. But it's different now. Everything is different. Emily. It doesn't have to be. We can talk, figure things out. Jack. I'd like that. Emily gestures towards the couch. Emily. Why don't we sit? We've got a lot to catch up on. They move to the couch and sit, the awkwardness slowly fading as they begin to talk, the cabin filling with the sound of their voices mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves outside. The sun has long since set, and the cabin is now illuminated by the warm glow of a crackling fire. Emily and Jack sit side by side on the couch, their earlier hesitations replaced by a sense of comfort and familiarity. Jack. It feels good to talk like this again. I didn't realize how much I missed it. Emily. Me too. I guess we both needed this, to reconnect. Jack leans back, staring at the ceiling for a moment before turning to Emily. Jack. Do you ever think about how things might have been if we hadn't drifted apart? Emily sighs, her gaze fixed on the dancing flames. Emily. All the time. But I also think about how much we've both grown. Maybe we needed that time apart to figure out who we are, what we want. Jack. And now? What do you want, Emily? She meets his gaze, her eyes searching as for a long moment before speaking. Emily. I want to find out if we can be better together than we were apart. If this place, these memories, can help us build something new. Jack reaches out, taking her hand in his. His touch is gentle, reassuring. Jack. I'd like that. I want to try, if you do. Emily. I do. They sit in silence for a moment, the weight of their words sinking in. The fire crackles softly, casting flickering shadows around the room. Jack. Remember the time we got caught in that storm out on the lake? We had to row back in the pouring rain. Emily laughs, the memory warming her. Emily. How could I forget? We were soaked to the bone, but you kept singing that ridiculous song to keep us from panicking. Jack. It worked, didn't it? Emily. Barely. But it did make me laugh. They share a smile, the distance between them shrinking as they fall into the rhythm of their shared past. Jack. I think that's what I've missed the most, making you laugh. Emily. You still have it in you, Jack. Jack. Well, then I guess it's my mission to keep that going. Emily squeezes his hand, a sense of hope blossoming between them. Emily. I'd like that. As they sit by the fire, their connection rekindled, the cabin once again feels like a place of beginnings, a sanctuary where they can rediscover each other and rebuild what was lost. The fire crackles softly in the stone fireplace, casting a warm glow across the room. Emily is curled up on the couch, a blanket draped over her. Jack is sitting in the armchair, his gaze fixed on the flames. Jack, softly, remember the summer we spent here? Emily, smiling, how could I forget? We thought we had all the time in the world. Jack chuckles, the sound tinged with nostalgia. He pours another glass of wine and offers it to Emily. Jack, we were so young, so sure of everything. Emily sighs, and now we're back, trying to figure it all out again. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment, the only sounds the crackling fire and the occasional hoot of an owl from outside. Jack, do you ever wonder if things could have been different? Emily looks at him, her expression thoughtful. Emily, all the time. But I think we needed to go through what we did to understand ourselves better. Jack nods, taking a sip of his wine. Jack, I guess you're right. But being here with you now, it feels like maybe we could start fresh. Emily's eyes meet his, filled with a mix of hope and uncertainty. Emily, do you really think we can? Jack, I do. This place, it's always been our sanctuary. Maybe it's time to find out what that means for us now. Emily, smiling softly, then let's see where this takes us. They share a lingering look, the firelight flickering in their eyes, as a gentle snow begins to fall outside, blanketing the world in quiet serenity. Bedroom, early morning. The first light of dawn filters through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room. Emily stirs awake, the sound of birds chirping gently outside. She stretches, glancing over to find Jack still asleep beside her. A peaceful expression rests on his face. Emily quietly slips out of bed, wrapping a cozy sweater around herself. She pads out of the room, careful not to wake Jack. Emily starts a pot of coffee, the rich aroma filling the kitchen. She leans against the counter, gazing out the window at the serene lake, its surface like glass in the early morning light. A faint smile plays on her lips, the tranquility of the scene seeping into her. Jack appears in the doorway, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Jack, morning. Emily turns to him, her smile widening. Emily, morning. Coffee? Jack, absolutely. He steps closer, and she pours him a cup. They stand side by side, sipping their coffee, the comfortable silence between them more telling than words. Jack, softly, I haven't felt this, at peace in a long time. Emily nods, her gaze fixed on the view outside. Emily, me neither. There's something about this place. It's like it knows how to heal us. Jack reaches for her hand, lacing his fingers through hers. Jack, maybe we're not just here to heal. Maybe we're here to rebuild. Emily turns to look at him, her eyes searching his. Emily, you think we can? Jack, I do. One step at a time. No pressure, just us. Emily squeezes his hand, a newfound resolve settling in her. Emily, okay. One step at a time. They share a tender moment, the weight of their past lifting as they embrace the possibility of a new beginning, the tranquil lake mirroring their quiet optimism. The fire has burned low, but the warmth lingers. Emily and Jack are still close, their hands entwined. The quiet crackle of the remaining embers fills the silence between them. Jack, softly, do you remember the night we danced here? No music, just the sound of the lake. Emily smiles, a faraway look in her eyes. Emily, how could I forget? It was one of the best nights of my life. Jack stands, extending a hand to her. Jack, dance with me again? Emily hesitates for a moment, then places her hand in his. They move to the middle of the room, swaying gently to the rhythm of their memories. The soft glow of the fire casts shadows on the walls as they move together, the outside world fading away. Emily, whispering, it feels like time stood still for us. Jack, whispering back, maybe it did. Maybe it's been waiting for us to find our way back. They continue to dance, the connection between them growing stronger with each step. As the fire dwindles, the room is filled with a quiet, intimate energy, a rekindling of something that never truly faded. Later, they sit on the porch, wrapped in blankets, watching the moonlight dance on the lake's surface. The air is crisp, the stars twinkling above them. Emily, do you ever wonder what life would be like if we'd stayed together? Jack nods, his gaze thoughtful. Jack, I used to. But now, sitting here with you, I think maybe we needed to go our separate ways to appreciate what we had, and what we could have again. Emily leans her head on his shoulder, a content sigh escaping her. Emily, maybe this is our second chance. Jack, smiling softly, maybe it is. They sit in comfortable silence, the future stretching out before them like the calm, endless lake, filled with the promise of new beginnings and the hope of love rekindled. The soft light of dawn filters through the curtains, gently waking Emily. She turns to find Jack still asleep beside her, his face peaceful. For a moment, she simply watches him, a sense of contentment settling over her. As she rises quietly, she slips out of bed and heads toward the kitchen. Her footsteps are soft on the wood floors, and the sound of the coffee maker starting up fills the silence. Emily pours herself a cup of coffee, the warmth of the mug soothing in her hands. She gazes out the window, watching the mist rise from the lake as the first light touches the water. The world outside feels still, as if holding its breath. Jack. Voice behind her. Good morning. Emily turns to find Jack standing in the doorway, his hair tousled from sleep, his eyes still heavy with drowsiness but full of affection. He walks over, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Jack. Softly. You're up early. Emily. I couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. Jack presses a kiss to the side of her head, the comfort of his touch grounding her. Jack. Anything you want to talk about? Emily hesitates, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup as she gathers her thoughts. Emily. I just keep thinking about how we got here, how we found our way back to each other after all this time. Jack. Quietly. It wasn't easy. But maybe the best things never are. Emily smiles, her heart swelling with a mix of hope and tenderness. Emily. Maybe that's what makes this feel so right now. All the pain, all the distance, it's made this moment more meaningful. Jack takes her cup from her hands, setting it down gently before cupping her face. Jack. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want you in it. Whatever happens, I'm here. Emily's eyes well with emotion, and she reaches up to rest her hand on his chest. Emily. I want that too. I want us to be brave enough to really try this time. Jack nods, his thumb brushing along her cheek. Jack. We'll be brave together. No more running, no more holding back. Their foreheads meet once again, a quiet promise between them. The world outside may be uncertain, but in this moment, with the sound of the lake in the distance and the warmth of each other's presence, it feels like everything is exactly where it needs to be. Front porch afternoon. Later that day, they sit together on the porch, enjoying the peace that surrounds them. The sun is shining brightly, and the sound of the wind rustling through the trees adds to the tranquility. Jack. What do you think life will look like for us now? After everything? Emily. I think it'll be whatever we make of it. We don't have to have all the answers. We just have to keep moving forward, together. Jack smiles, his hand finding hers once more. Jack. I like the sound of that. They share a quiet laugh, the weight of their pasts now lighter, the future no longer daunting but full of promise. As the day begins to fade into evening, they sit side by side, ready for whatever comes next. The golden light of the early morning sun spills over the water, shimmering and reflecting the calmness of the lake. Emily and Jack walk side by side along the shore, their footsteps leaving prints in the soft sand. Their fingers entwined, they exchange quiet glances, as if the weight of their past has momentarily faded. Emily, I've missed this, just being with you, with no distractions. Jack, me too. I never realized how much we needed this time to just be us. They reach the old wooden dock, where an abandoned rowboat gently rocks with the movement of the water. Emily looks at Jack, her heart racing with excitement and anticipation. Emily, do you remember the last time we were here? It feels like a lifetime ago. Jack, I do. I remember thinking that nothing would ever feel the same again. But I was wrong. We've both changed. And we can make this work, Emily. Emily's eyes soften as she watches Jack, his sincerity shining through. She nods, her voice barely a whisper. Emily, I believe you. We've been through so much, but we're still here. Together. They sit down on the dock, the air fresh and cool around them. Silence settles, but it's comfortable, a peace they've longed for. Jack squeezes Emily's hand, a promise, a reassurance that things are different now. Jack, let's make a pact, right here and now. No more running away. No more pushing each other away. We face everything together from here on out. Emily turns to him, a mix of relief and hope flooding her chest. Emily, no more running away. They share a smile, one filled with the understanding that they've come through the storm and are ready for whatever lies ahead. The lake stretches out before them, vast and endless, much like the future they've just begun to rebuild. The sun climbs higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the lake. Emily and Jack have spent the morning reminiscing about their past, talking about their mistakes, their dreams, and their shared love for this peaceful place. Now, they're sitting on the porch of the cabin, a gentle breeze playing with Emily's hair as they sip lemonade. Jack, I've been thinking a lot about what we want moving forward. Emily, what do you mean? Jack, I mean, we've always had these big dreams. I don't want us to get caught up in the same patterns. I don't want to lose track of what matters again. Emily looks out over the lake, her mind whirling. She knows Jack's right, there was a time when their dreams seemed bigger than their relationship, and that's what nearly tore them apart. But now, with the serenity of the cabin and the promise of a fresh start, it feels like they can dream together again. Emily, I want to build a life here, Jack. Away from all the noise. Just us. Maybe we could even start a family. A new beginning. Jack looks at her, surprised but touched by her words. He sets his glass down, a quiet intensity in his gaze. Jack, you're serious? Emily, more than ever. A long pause hangs between them as Jack processes her words. He leans forward, taking her hands in his. Jack, I want that too. I want to build something real, something that lasts. They sit in silence for a moment, the gravity of their decision settling in. It's a promise, one they make to each other, to the love they've rediscovered. Suddenly, Emily stands up, an impish grin on her face. Emily, race you to the water? Jack's eyes spark with playful energy, the lightness of their connection washing over him. Jack, you're on. They run towards the water, laughing, the past behind them, and the future wide open. Their laughter rings out, echoing across the lake, as if the world itself is joining in their joy. The sky is painted with hues of pink, purple, and orange as the sun dips below the horizon. Emily and Jack sit on the edge of the dock, their feet dangling over the edge, gazing out at the lake. The day has been full of small, intimate moments that have rekindled the fire between them. Emily, do you ever wonder if this is how it was always meant to be? That we were just too stubborn to see it? Jack, I think we had to go through all of that, the mistakes, the distance, so we could come out the other side stronger. Emily rests her head on Jack's shoulder, her eyes closing as the cool evening air surrounds them. Emily, I'm just glad we're here now. Jack, me too. They sit together in the quiet, knowing that the journey ahead may not always be easy, but with each other, they can face anything. And for the first time in a long time, the future feels as peaceful as the lake in front of them.